Alrighty, so we have three trigonomic functions that we want to prove their identities, and so I'm going to tell you the first step I would use while going about these. Excuse me. So for the first problem, we have this. And so the first thing that I would do is use the double angle identity, right? And that would change this top part to cosine 2 theta. Sine 2 theta, and then I can go about the next few steps. The first step I would do would be involve changing the bottom part, and I would use the tangent identities and the reciprocal identities. Alright, so first off, using the tangent identity, this would change it to 1 minus sine squared x over cosine squared x, and then using the reciprocal identity, which would change this to 1 over secant squared x, which would change this bottom to 1 minus sine squared x times secant squared x. Okay, and so that would be the next step I would do, or a different way I'd go about solving this problem, but that would be the first step. So for this is the second problem. So the first step I would do, well, the steps I would do for this would involve the double angle theory, or the double angle identity. And the first thing I would do with this one is actually change this section right here on the left side. Okay, and that would change this to a 1 minus 2 sine squared theta. So realistically, you'll have 1 minus that, which would cancel out, so then you just have negative 2 sine squared theta equals this, and then I'd go about solving it. So that would be my first step for that problem. And then my second step would be using the double identity again, but using the right side on this one, and I would change that to 2 sine theta cosine theta, or x in this case, because I have it as x, and then I'd go about solving it. And then for the final type of problems, we have this. And so for this, I would use the sum of difference formula, which would be using this side. And so the sum of difference formula would state it would change this to tangent A, which is x, plus, or it would be a minus tangent B, which would be pi over 4 over 1 plus tangent x tangent B pi over 4. Right? So that'd be my first step to solving it on that one. And then I can go about, right, so then this would be gone. And so to leave me with that equals this, and then I'll go about solving it from there. And then secondly, I'd use the Pythagorean identities on this one, right, and that states tangent x plus 1 does equal secant x. So realistically, it would be taking this out, changing that to a secant x, and then going about solving it. And so those would be the ways that I would go about solving these three problems.